We are back at it again here with another video with Invest for tomorrow. To all the first time viewers and investors, welcome to the channel. To all the subscribers, welcome back. All I ask from return this video, smash that like button to let me know you watch this video. Helps out the YouTube channel and lets me know you appreciate the time and effort I put into making these videos. So in today's video, I'm going to share with you guys top 3 stocks that are setting to explode in the near future. And we're going to talk about the data on why I'm watching them, where they currently sit, how they reacted before, and where they stand right now. But before we break down the data in these charts and the 3 top stocks to watch now, I want to share with you guys the stocks I mentioned this morning over at the Discord. They all turned out to be home runs this morning, and that is something you can become part of as well. Check out the link down below, and we're going to jump into these top 3 stocks that are setting up to possibly explode. The home runs of the day were spectacular. Both stocks that I mentioned this morning turned out to be home runs. And if this is something that interests you and you want to become part of, you're more than welcome to join us. The link is down below in the description to the Discord. And by joining, you'll become part of a growing community of investors, all looking to learn and grow together. So this morning I mentioned MRM and RNAZ. And this is how these stocks performed based off of the charts. So we talked about RNAZ pretty early on in the pre-market, sitting sideways, and it took off to a 10 to 20% move in a matter of 30 minutes. And at the time of this screenshot, it has hit a highest point in the day so far of 50% plus, guys. This is what we look for. This is what we strive for every single day. Now we also talked about MRM. This one was overextending. It was up 10% since I mentioned it in the pre-market. We were watching it as it was consolidating, and it took off to a highest point of 40% plus, 30% plus more after that 10% jump in the pre-market. Started talking about it down here, and it took off to a highest point in a matter of 15 minutes of 40% plus, guys. If this is something that interests you and you want to become part of, check out the link down below in the description to the Discord, and we look forward to having you join us. And let's jump into these charts. So the first one on this list actually took off 2 days ago in the aftermarket hours, and it leaded on to the next day, which was yesterday in the pre-market, and it had been in a downward trend since then. Now the reason why it exploded, it had came out with news of a partnership with Google. I definitely recommend and encourage that every single investor and viewer goes and does further research on that information. Now this stock has been pulling downwards, and it seems to have found a bottom so far right here at 756. Bounced back off of it, and it's pushing upwards. It's done the full transition here, and the next one would be these green candlesticks, right? Going from dark green to green, and it can continue pushing up with momentum and that upward movement. But it will take volume to push this even more to the upside. I'm going to be watching the candlesticks as well as the daily volume, catching up to the average 10-day volume of 18 million. And as long as it's higher than that, it could go even higher. So this is definitely something to watch and see how momentum is moving. It's currently in the 8s. The lowest point we saw was 750s. And let's go ahead and see here what the short interest is and why I'm definitely watching this one moving forward for a possible even squeeze and further push because of this news and momentum, right? So MRIN is actually having a short float right now as I speak, as I found this information up to this point of 14.53%. That's not that high, but that is significantly not that far from 20%. The second thing I like about this stock is the shares outstanding as well as the share float, okay? This stock, the last time I caught it back in June and July, it went ahead and ran from $2 all the way up to 26. Now, things were a little bit different then than now, but it doesn't mean that it can't have momentum and a push to the upside because of the short interest, the short float, right? And then we also have the share float being pretty low, making it a low float candidate, as well as great news, partnership with Google, and all the hype and speculation based off the technicals. It could go higher, and I'm going to be watching it if it breaks through 947 to all the way up here to $11. So in that area, I may start considering to see how high up is it from these lows of 750, and could it break through $11? Because if it can, this could go to newer levels, newer highs, and new resistance levels. So this is definitely one that we're talking about a little bit early due to the fact that it is in a downtrend. It had a quick move of 100% upside, but this is not the end of this momentum, especially if shorts get forced to cover, especially from down here to up here. Now let's talk about the next one. So the second stock on this list is ANY, Sphere 3D Corp. And this is a stock that I've talked about since way back in June 10th when it took off from $2 all the way up to $3.74, nearly doubling. And this is the proof of when I mentioned it on the stocks to watch. And this is a stock that I mentioned on this list on June 10th, 2021. And any is the stock that I mentioned at $2.47. And it went past $3 and some change. This turned out to be a home run for that day. And since then, it's consolidated, ran up, consolidated, and just continued to go higher. And right now, it's consolidated right here within this area between $5 and some change all the way up to $7.80s, right? Almost $8. So this right here has been some strength to actually show that it's not going back down towards these levels so far. And also, even though short interest is pretty high, there has been some strength here from the bulls to continue pushing up higher. One of the highest points that it reached recently back in September at the beginning of the month was 11.98, and that was spectacular. I mean, from way down here in the twos when we started watching it to reach $12 was a big deal. Now the fact that things cooled off and kind of sat sideways, it is definitely one to be watching. Again, I'm not in a rush with any of these stocks. I'm watching them early. This is what it's all about. It's about trying to catch the dips and ride the rips. With 42 vision, it makes it a lot more clearer to see that, as well as knowing about this information live by joining the community over at the Patreon and Discord. So what is going on with this chart right now? Well, ANY has a pretty high short interest, but there's something about this data that I don't like, but it still is something to watch, right? So ANY has actually 20%, right? Above 20%, actually 21.63 of short interest. Now the share float is pretty low, and that's another thing as well. Low float, high short interest, that's a big deal. But the short ratio, guys, if this doesn't go higher, it's at 0.06. That goes ahead and gives leverage to the shorts to cover their positions and reshort in that same location. So it makes things a lot more agile for them, much more flexible. So they need to feel the pressure so that they can turn from shorts and bears to official bulls and stay as bulls and not be able to go back to becoming shorts right away. So the short float is pretty high, 21.63. That is something to be aware of. The days to cover is the only thing I don't like, but it is a low float. It's consolidated, and it's in a great position for a possible run. If the bulls come in strong, they hold on tight and force those shorts to cover, and those days to cover keep going higher, not giving the flexibility for the shorts to reposition themselves as shorts after they recovered and then actually want to bring it back down. So definitely something to watch. And the last one on this list has the highest amount of short interest and the lowest float, guys. This is some pretty impressive things to be aware of, guys. These stocks are really fast and really upward directions or really downward directions. So the risk is here, okay? This is where the risk is at. This is a stock that we started trading way back in July, and we rode this up from $3 all the way to $40, right? This was a 2-day run, almost 3-day run. This was a phenomenal stock back in July, and things were just explosive then. Now things have been in a downward trend, and one of the lowest points that we recently saw was $9, and then it took off up to 20, and then now we're seeing it jump up from 10, having a small jump to 15, and it's pulled right back down to 12, right? So this has been in a very volatile upward downward movement, and at these levels, this is definitely a stock to be aware of between $12 to $9 to see if it consolidates before its next opportunity. Remember, we're talking about stocks before things are even bound to happen, and we're projecting based off the data, the history of the charts, and what's going on, a possible opportunity. Now, if you want to know live updates on when I'm looking at these stocks in the morning, if I am, and actually going ahead and looking for an opportunity for it to be a home run, you can join us over at the Patreon and Discord. The links are down below in the description, and we look forward to having you join us. So here we are with Neuro and URO. And like I said, this has the lowest float and the highest short interest. And this is why I like it. And also the days to cover is not as low as the others, but it is pretty low still. We want this to go higher. This allows the shorts to cover and keep on having that leverage to go ahead and manipulate the stock. That's what they would call manipulating, right? The shorts reposition after they cover, and then they become shorts again at these newer highs, and then they drag it right back down. So it's pretty interesting how that works, but the days to cover gives them that flexibility. So the short ratio is the days to cover, and that's currently is sitting at 0.11, but the short float is 36%. 20% is typically a pretty high amount. 36 is nearly double. Now the share float is 3 million and the shares outstanding is 4 million. So super low float and really high short float, guys. This is a huge indication that if bulls come together and push this up higher and force the shorts to cover and keep them at covered positions, not allowing them with the short ratio to get in and get out and re-short again, allowing them to turn from bears and shorts to bulls and stay as bulls and continue to push this even higher, this stock could soar. We've seen it before. I'm not saying it's going to be exactly the same as we saw in the history of the chart all the way up to the 40s, but it recently touched the 20s. It just broke out to the 15s from way down here in the 10s. That's a 50% move. And down here all the way up to here is a 100% move. So this one is moving a lot less every single time due to the fact that those days to cover are allowing the shorts to have some leverage. But if that days to cover gets higher and the pressure is on, these shorts may have to cover, and this could go even higher than we've already seen. So this is a great level to be watching it. No rush, just patience, watching the charts, seeing what's going on. And with 42 vision, I could see the weakness and the momentums of strength to be able to catch the dips and ride the rips, guys. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and let's make some money.